Welcome everybody to my Season 1 Charge and 100,000 Steps build. So when the season started I thought I'm gonna make a hardcore Barbarian because what can be more difficult than that, and I was up for the challenge. I mean, everybody was saying like Barbarians are so weak, etc. And I really didn't like my leveling experience on the Eternal Realm before, so I took the challenge upon myself to make a build that I will actually enjoy. And initially what I started out with was Lunging Strike, of course, which pops Berserker based on the crit chance you have. Every time you crit, you are berserking. And then you have Rend, which is just fun to use on groups. You extend the vulnerability, and you get some Fury as well, of course. Now ignore this, because for leveling, what you're gonna need is Rallying Cry, Enhanced, and then Strategic. Challenging Shout, you want to max out Challenging Shout because the damage reduction is actually really good. If you find any gear that has rank on it, it's actually really good. Enhanced Challenging Shout, and then Strategic. And then while I was leveling, Charge was not yet buffed, so I did not use it. I tried to use it, but it felt lackluster, and I explain why. Then you have Booming Voice and Guttural Yell. Later on, you can put points on Imposing Presence, which is really good because you have more health, and reduction against elites, which may become less important later on, but actually becomes more important because the elites and the number of enemies that you have in Nightmare Dungeons has been significantly increased since the most recent patch. What I was actually using for leveling instead of Charge was Steel Grasp, because with Steel Grasp you can proc Vulnerable and you gain Berserker, which is your most consistent form of berserking if you have a low crit chance with Lunging Strike. And then one on Thick Skin and Defensive Stance and Counter Offensive are really good because you're gonna keep being fortified, which is again further damage reduction. Then Iron Maelstrom, and what I was taking was the Walking Arsenal because I felt it was a much more consistent source of damage than Gushing Wounds. But from today on, since the patch is out, Gushing Wounds has been buffed, so there is a form of high crit chance, then you are overpowering and you're consistently proccing Berserker on yourself. So there is a crit chance variation to this build, which should be good as well. But since Charge got buffed, and there is not really any legendaries for Steel Grasp, what you can actually do is apply the seasonal legendary FX, which creates those 4 ancients, and you just bang everybody against the wall, you jump in with Lunging Strike, and then you just rend everybody down. Which is actually really fun, and if you need anything else for it, you still have your Iron Maelstrom, which actually just deletes whole entire room. Now that is your leveling experience. As I said, I leveled before the patch, so I do not know if Charge is viable more now for leveling as well, but Steel Grasp is definitely a very consistent pick. Now I don't have that high of a crit chance, I only have 16%, but I still proc Berserker quite regularly. What can help you mitigate this low crit chance is the 40% attack speed legendary FX, which I don't have currently because I use it up during my leveling. I found it because you can only find it on a weapon, so I found it, I equipped it, then I salvaged it and put it on another one, but it just got outdated unfortunately. But this build does not necessarily rely too much on specific legendaries. What you do want to have, however, is this one. So while you're berserking, you deal more bleeding damage. This one reduces the damage you take based on the people around you who are bleeding, and I have one more with bleed. Yeah, direct damage against bleeding enemies has up to 20% chance to stun them. So you have stun from here, you get a stun from one of these legendary fixes as well if you have 5 enemies up close to you. You swapping weapons grants you Fortify, which is again really strong. You want to look out for that one. The bleed we already talked about. You heal 38 life points per second for each enemy. And then once you get to tier 3, you can get the unique drops. And 100,000 steps has just been recently changed, so now actually you get 3 evades, which is really good, and it fixes a lot of the mobility issues with the Barbarian combined with the Lunging Strike, sorry. And what you do is with Walking Arsenal, when you have popped 3, so this build doesn't necessarily work, like the shoes don't need to be they can't be part of it if you're using gushing wounds, right? So for this specific build, actually walking arsenal is much better, especially because the arsenal also got buffed that the damage bonus lasts longer. So here what you can do later on when you have a couple of points to spare is that you use ground stomp, which again does more stun. So basically you stun lock an entire room. I think I have so many stuns that actually I might need to rethink it because there is just too many of them. You just control the whole room entirely. And then there is another legendary affix which then when you do a ground stomp, it does an earthquake. And the earthquake just buffs your damage so much, you stand in it and you just slash everybody down. It's incredible. You can put, well, these ones are the kick and charge. Yeah, so when you charge and you kill people immediately, they just explode. That is not that necessary, this legendary, because if you manage to find that Grateful Heart, it basically does it for you. Because when you kill them, they explode. Critical strike, they blow up. It's incredible. So, yeah, there are the brutal heart. This one is incoming damage is suppressed, and once again, you have a devious heart that stuns potentially. So there is so much CC that I think it might be even viable for PvP. If you manage to pop off the stuns, I don't know. It's a possibility. I'm not so sure. Unfortunately, I just found the Fields of Crimson and it works with Rupture, which is not really possible to be included in this build because that would actually mitigate the issue that this build has, is that single target damage is not that strong. It's not bad, but it's not that significant. So this is probably not a build for Uber Limit. Now, originally when I made this character, I thought that I'm on the hardcore server, which then I later on found out that I wasn't. But I still kept leveling this character because I just started to enjoy it, and I was in level 30, and then this rogue in my party who just randomly joined me in one of the dungeons just kept dying, and I realized, oh, actually I'm not on the hardcore realm. But I thought, okay, well, too late now. So you charge in, start slashing away, earthquake, and then melt people. You want to use your rallying cry to generate more fury for yourself. And of course, you see, here is the struggle of not having that much single target damage. I just gonna demonstrate that. So when you have an elite like this, it's actually also okay to just ignore them and just keep going. I already transferred to World Tier 3 around level 46 or so, and then I was up to enemies who were 8 levels above me, and it was absolutely no issue at all. I have not died a single time because the defensive aspects of this build just gives you so much endurance. You are basically going to be consistently overpowering them because your fortify is just gonna be on all the time. And if in any case you find yourself in trouble, you can just pop Challenging Shout, which has a flat 50% damage reduction. So I believe this can be one of the strongest, best to survive hardcore builds as well. And I'm yet to find out for myself. So you charge in, you smack them on the walls, and then you just start slashing away, and basically they just melt. I enjoyed this significantly more than in previous metas. You just had Hammer of the Ancients of Whirlwind and 4 different types of shouts, which I just found really stupid and boring to play because you basically were just auto-attacking and then shouting away. It didn't really feel impactful in any ways whatsoever. But this build fixes that for me. There you go. Your walking arsenal just keeps popping. If anyone wonders how to put how to assess weapons, which I was struggling with at the beginning, you want to do dual wield. When you basically open A and you go skills assignment, launching strike, dual wield. Rend of course on slashing weapon, and then here is the catch. The charge also uses a weapon. So here you can use a bludgeoning weapon and then makes it 3. And of course also your ultimate Iron Maelstrom is also a bludgeoning weapon. So that means that you are much more consistent with proccing your walking arsenal, and once you have all of them are on, you get 15% flat damage increase, which is just only gonna scale higher and higher and higher, and you're gonna keep proccing your ground stomp, and with the ground stomp you're gonna proc your earthquake, and earthquake also does 30% increased damage. So you basically find yourself 30% from earthquake, another 15% from the passive, and that's 45% increased damage while they are actually stunned. Because later on, when you have a couple of skill points more, you can put 1 point on your ground stomp, you increase the stun duration, and you have, I go with a strategic one which reduces the cooldown on your ultimate, so you actually can proc Iron Maelstrom even more often. So I believe this build works. I believe it's fun. It's the most fun I had with a Barbarian. It's not as fun as my Rogue, but this comes a close second, almost on par with the Necromancer I had. And yeah, I believe this is the most entertaining way to play Barbarian currently in Season 1. And if anybody is interested, my name is Rumin42, I stream on Twitch. I'm making YouTube videos here and there and everywhere. I'm sorry that this is not one of those flashy, crazy ones. I'm just making this casually out of a hobby for my own entertainment mostly. But if you happen to come across this video, if you happen to like this build, then like it, follow it, comment it, whatever it, and see you around. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day. See you later, everybody. Bye for now.